All right, imagine having a near-death experience and that leading to you being able to see 9/11 before it actually happening. You being able to unlock your psychic ability. That's what we're going to be talking about. This is going to be an incredible story. Gary Wimmer, how are you?
Pretty good, especially compared to the world. you
Yeah.
know,
Well, what do you mean by that, especially compared to the world?
well, the world's going through a big world change. I saw this 45 years ago in my near death experience. And of course, we all see it now, breaking news every 5 minutes, but it's not in vain. We're all getting to see all the flaws in ourselves and in our system and our society so we can fix them,
That's right.
because you can't fix a problem if you don't see what it is. So, yeah, it's kind of painful and confusing and extremes. Everything's going through this extreme, but we're not being tortured as human beings. We're being shown the holes in the boat so we can fix them. So, but there's certainly better places to be and better situations to be in and less advantageous ones. So I count my blessings every day. I really do. There's so many challenges in life that we all go through. And I encourage everybody to count their blessings because there's no complaint department, really.
Yeah, Gary, I got to ask you a question. So, just based off of what you just said, you said the world is going through change. I remember, when I went through the beginning of my spiritual journey, there was just a lot of change, and it was confusing. It was scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was, quite frankly, it was me pulling away from, the fear consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and returning to love, to myself. If someone is out there going through that process right now, before we go into your process, like, what would be some advice or some tips that you would give them?
Basically, techniques and decisions, because that's how we get to the store to buy a loaf of bread. That's how we raise our consciousness. That's how we clean the floor. And you can make decisions about improving your mindset, your situation. And if you can't change your situation, which sometimes we cannot, but the best use of free will allows us to always change our perspective. We can change the way we look at anything. And when you look at things from a different point of view, you might come up with different results because you're looking at them from a fresh point of view. So, most magnificent power every human being has, in spite of all the chaos we're going through, is we get to choose whether we're going to learn, grow, or evolve, or be upset. And we get both.
That's right.
We're going to go through stuff that's going to just really deflate our ego, slap us in the face, but hopefully make us think, because that's how we grow.
Yeah. Gary, would you agree? As I'm sitting here today, it feels as though, there was a time in my life, I call it like pre-awakening, where I literally thought that everything was happening like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see that everything that has happened is happening for me. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's giving me an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to raise my energy, my frequency, my consciousness. And would you agree with that statement? Would you agree that, like, if somebody's out there listening to this right now and they're going through a hard time,
Mm-hmm.
their soul attracted that hard time to
I don't
teach
believe in
them?
accidents or
I don't
coincidences.
either.
Everything manifests from one principle, cause and effect. Something made it happen, including you being you being and this being a universe and us existing. There was no accidents. However, we find ourselves in situations that we've struggled with.
Yeah.
Welcome to life. But we don't have to stay there. You were talking about this change in your life. You know why the change happened? Because you made a decision and followed through and practiced. That's the biggest power in life, is our ability to make a decision and get off the old path. We may not be able to change our circumstances, our immediate. You can't change the past. You can't change your genes. Can't change other people. 10 billion things you can't change. But power is always in what we can change. And if we tap into what we can change, as you did, we can find the light. And you have to work on it. You have to ask for it. Our guides, life, our higher consciousness is always hinting, tapping us on the shoulder But our higher mind knows the rule. They can't break in our free will. They can't force us to realize the earth is round, you know. And they do tap on our shoulder. The whole world right now is just billions of souls are being tapped on the shoulder, everybody on the planet, by higher mind. Always has been that way, always will be, but we get to choose whether to heed the call, grow, learn, benefit, as you did, by choice, practice, and come out ahead rather than stay in the rut. Choice, choice, choice.
So, Gary, what do you think is happening right now? Do you think that it's, our guides are all tapping a little bit more than they used to maybe 20, 30 years ago? Or do you think that we are now at a state in consciousness where we're listening more? Which one do you think?
I don't know that they're probably both.
They're probably both of the same.
Yeah, they're simultaneous,
Okay. Okay.
But we are getting a lot of taps on the shoulder, so to speak, a lot of situations that are hopefully encouraging us to think, to question, but we get to heed the call, answer the phone, grow, evolve, learn, benefit, make it a better world, or ignore it and do none of the above. Choice, choice, choice. The power of choice is so important.
Do you think that where we're at right now in this state of consciousness, as a collective, do you think humanity is here in this place right now? Because if we do not evolve, if we do not return to love, we're heading towards like a pretty bad place?
In general, but I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
If we keep screwing up the air and the water, we'll have nothing to drink, nothing to eat. But I think we're learning. I'm an optimist. And even if worst case, we don't learn and 12 billion people on this planet turn to dust, these souls will reincarnate some other life, some other planet, some other galaxy. We're going to be around, period. We all chose to exist once given the opportunity. We may not remember it, but I don't remember everything I did 3 weeks ago on Tuesday. You probably don't either. So it's really a process of being curious, asking your guides to help. And that's important, asking your guides, because they know the rule. They can't just break in and force us to realize things. They have to get permission. And so the more we open up, the more we ask them, and they're not going to call you on the phone. They answer through feelings and thoughts. They answer through things we might consider as coincidences. Wow, that's a coincidence. I was just thinking about that. Well, you're just thinking about that. Cause and effect. Yeah, I'm an optimist. It's a crazy world. It's tense. And I'm certainly not perfect. I go through my frustrations and doubts and concerns. Everybody will. We're all here, but we can get better, whether it's playing piano or chess or raising our consciousness or becoming fearless. You're living proof too, brother, right?
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you, I know how I teach the members of Awaken You how to tap into source, to tap into our guides. When you say all you have to do is ask, like, how do you do that? How do you ask? Like, what does that look like?
Pretty simple. I just think. Just think about it. I asked my guides way back in the late 60s when I was reading Edgar Cayce and realized, wow, our guides exist. Higher mind exists. I felt it kind of like everybody does, but a lot of people don't. They read a book or hear about it, and that's all they do. I couldn't take my mind off of it. I got 6 brothers. Had 6, down to 5 right now. None of them are interested in the things I'm interested in. They're all businessmen. They're all interested in psychic ability. And they know Gary's weird.
Right.
And I love it. But not everybody's interested in things like that. And that's cool, too, because I'm not interested in golf. A lot of golfers are. Go to town.
Yeah.
But I feel very lucky, extremely lucky for what I've gotten an opportunity to see.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I'm very grateful because it came about, as I describe in my book here, because of curiosity. I always wanted to know. And finally my guide said, okay, we'll take you. And that's how I got that near-death experience.
Before we get into that, it's interesting you say that, because you know what I always wanted to know? The truth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I always wanted to know the truth. And I think in the knowing. Yeah, my very first ayahuasca ceremony, by the way, my very first one, I remember that was one of the questions. Like, I want to know the truth about God, because this thing that they're teaching me, this thing that they're saying, it just doesn't. It's not making sense to me.
It's mind-boggling once I saw it, because what I experienced, first of all, most people who've had a near-death experience, including me, they're vastly different. Some in emergencies room, car wrecks. Mine was, being hit by a speeding car. But the one thing that's in common with all these near-death experiences, as vastly different as they are, is they all talk about infinite love in a way that you never even thought about. And what I experienced, which I described in the book there, is once I went from the car crash, I forgot who I was, went to infinite mind, and it blew my mind, because it was infinite possibilities over infinite time, non-biased, completely non-biased, not Catholic or this or that, or it's infinite creativity over infinite time, and you and I are a part of it, and we can, by choice and practice, as you know, grow, evolve, learn more about ourselves, learn why we're here, learn what our duty is, our mission is, what we can do. Or you can not learn any of this and go get drunk on the beach and have a good time too. But eventually you'll have to learn it.
Yeah.
We came here to learn. We eventually will have to face a lot of our fears and doubts. Good. Because that way we can conquer them. If you've never faced a doubt, a fear, you'd never learn to conquer it. I have a theory. Bring it on. Bring it on. The more challenges I go through, the more I'll learn.
So I've recently been obsessed with learning about supplements, because I found out all of the shady tactics that happen in the industry, like how natural flavors are far from natural, or get this, how some vitamins are derived from GMO corn syrup. I know, it's disgusting. This is why it's so important to trust the company you buy your supplements from. And there's only one company on planet Earth I trust, and that's Kono. I've never seen a higher standard in the industry, where literally every single ingredient is ethically sourced with intention. I've been absolutely loving their full body hydrate product. It's the most comprehensive and I think best tasting electrolyte on the planet. It helps my brain function. I feel like it's helping my skin. I feel more hydrated, and overall, I just feel incredible throughout the day when I drink it. But all in all, guys, all of their supplements are incredible. I'm passionate about sharing them with you guys, because these guys have your health at heart. Check them out at kononutrition.com/Danny and get 10% off your order. Again, that's kononutrition.com/Danny for 10% off your order. Tell me about your near death experience. What were the circumstances that led you to that?
Fascinating. 1977, like I told you, I've been involved in psychic ability since the late 60s. I started giving readings in the early 70s. I was also a musician, and I was traveling on the road with a band, and decided to quit the band. I needed some time off. This was 1977, January. I'd felt weird that whole day. Something was strange, Maybe it's me quitting the band. I don't know. So anyway, that night, January 1977, brought my gear in, saw my roommates, talked to them, the band split, and I started picking up what my roommates and my neighbors, we had a couple neighbors that were down here that they were from the apartment, and I started picking up what everybody's about to say. It kind of blew my mind. I thought, that's weird. Next day, well, I went to sleep, and I couldn't sleep at all. I was awake all night. My mind was racing. What's going on? Got up in the morning, heard my roommate coming in. He's reading the paper, and I saw the headlines of the paper through his eyes. Wow. We sat down. He threw the paper down. I'm just staring at it. You okay? I said, yeah, but that was weird. 2 hours later, they went to work. I walked down the store and I started picking up thoughts of everybody. Woo! Went back to my apartment, started rearranging some of the stuff. I'd only been there for a while, so I kind of setting my stuff up. And I started feeling everything I touched, the person who gave it to me. Anyway, this psychic intuition started changing pretty fast. That night, a friend of mine, Brendan, we went to Soap Creek Saloon, which used to be here in Austin way back in the 70s. Went out there and the band was too loud. I couldn't take it. I sat in the bar room. It was quieter. And I noticed everybody walked by. I could pick up thoughts about them and feelings about them. Whoa. But before I walked into the club, 30 minutes earlier, right outside the door, I felt this strange premonition in this particular spot. Blew it off because there was strange stuff going on all the time. So now I'm sitting at the bar taking a break, and all of a sudden I thought, man, I need to take a walk outside and get some air. And all of a sudden I'm outside in that spot. 4 people walking through me. Whoa, opened my eyes. I'm still in the stool. The door opened, and I saw them walk through dressed as I'd seen them just a second earlier. So I started thinking, wow, I can transport myself outside. And I started doing that, seeing how people are dressed. Actually, I could pick up their names and their feelings and other stuff, too. My roommate comes in from the other room. What are you doing? Well, I can't explain this, so I'll just show you. And I predicted the next couple people who were coming through what they were dressed, bet him $10. He thought I was outside. No, go talk to these people. I've been sitting right here. This went on and on and on. I started seeing clocks all the time. Someone would say, I'll be over this afternoon. I'd look up, it'd be the 2:41. And they would come in my door at 2:41. Over and over. And by the second and third day, I was pretty freaking out about this. Even though it was enjoyable and fascinating, I didn't know how to turn it off. I was not sleeping. I started feeling these guardian angels watching me. That somehow I either called the monitors or they said, we're monitoring you. And I said, well, I'll think of you in the monitors. I didn't see them, but I felt them. The little bit of sanity and security I felt. And this went on for about a week, stuff building up. I'll give you another example. Brandon and I went to the filling station. Used to be a hamburger joint here down Barton Springs. So we went there to eat, and he's asking me how I'm doing because he's been hanging around me, noticing I'm getting weird, and he's concerned. And he says, "What's going on now?" I said, "Well, I'll just show you. It's easier." So I looked way over in the corner and saw 2 ladies sitting, and said, "Look over there, see if you know them." And he went, "No, don't think so." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna have the brunette write me a letter." What? I said, "I'm gonna have the brunette write me a letter." So started eating dinner. He completely thought about it. And I kept thinking to that brunette, I'm the guy over here in the blue shirt or whatever I had on at the time. I imagined like a laser light or like on an airplane, the lights that go down, indicating right who I was. Didn't look at her, didn't walk by there, just thought it. 10 minutes later, they were leaving. They walked right by us, the 2 ladies. First lady walked by us. The brunette walked by. She threw a napkin down on the table. And she had written in these big, bold letters in a black pen, "Why are you doing this to me?" My jaw fell down. My roommate and I are just, what the hell? I wanted to run outside and ask her, "What did you feel?" But I was too freaked out. Wow. Because I'm affecting people now. I'm screwing with their lives. I'm not trying to. Innocent.
Right.
I'd look at a stranger 2.5 blocks away and think, scratch your head and move your hat, and they would do it. Now, did I know that was going to happen? Or did I make it happen? Or did I just happen to pick it up? And I could not tell the difference between witness and creator. That got rather haunting. And this went on and on and on, up till finally, after 7 days of this, my roommates are concerned, friends are concerned. I'm concerned too, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to turn it off. Had no idea. After 7 days, it was too much. I'm on Guadalupe Street near UT. I was living over near West Lynn, and my car was broken. I left my house just going to walk. I was thinking about walking over my girlfriend's house, which was about 8 miles away, like I could walk that much, have not slept in days and days. So I got up to Guadalupe Street, and the intensity of this just got too much. Everybody walked by, I could feel their thoughts. I was crying. I was praying. And big circle of people formed around me, concerned. They didn't know what to do. And I almost wanted to say, back away, I don't want to explode on you. So anyway, I got up, walked another couple feet, and then it just stopped and started just praying, crying. And all of a sudden, this fear disappeared instantaneously. What? I looked up, there's a big light. Big, huge light shining right down on me. And I remember thinking if I had a ladder, I could touch it. It's 5.5 or 6 feet away. It's not 12. It's not 14. It's not 2. And I looked around at all these people who'd been looking at me. They didn't see this light shining down. They're just still looking at me. I didn't care. I looked back up at the light, and all of a sudden it changed into like a crystal table about this thick. Not that thick, not that thick, about that thick. And these 7 white-robed beings were sitting around it, and their light was coming down through the palms of their hands. And I look up, and it's amazing. And then I realized these are the monitors. These are the guys I've been feeling. And they said, yes. And I said, I don't know what's going on. I'm terrified. This is like, we understand. Do you trust us? And I said, well, blah, 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 blah. Shh. Do you trust us? That's all they asked. Kept asking 2 or 3 times. I forget. Maybe 4. I finally shut up and said, yes. You have to read this in the book. It's kind of weird. Within a split second, I was hit by a speeding car. Wham! I saw my body tumbling over the car. And then I was being pulled away. I was expanding outwards like a balloon. Left my body. Not like an arrow, like a balloon. The whole city of Austin turned into a little dot. And then the whole world did. And I'm seeing the whole earth from north, south pole, east, west, all the way around 360 at one time, because I'm expanding outward my psychic ability. My body's still in Guadalupe Street, but my psychic ability is expanding, and then all planets and galaxies started going inside me, and I had pretty soon no awareness of me, just sensation, and it was beautiful. I cannot describe how beautiful and empowering this was. And I finally went through what they call, I saw all these, I came out of this galaxy, then out of this universe, and then realized, oh, that's the universe I came out of. And there's infinite universes, like a starry sky. And they rolled up into a big tunnel of light. That's a perfect explanation, because that's what it felt like. And I was shot through this tunnel of light, silver clouds moving around me, no fear. Boy, it was ecstasy. And no awareness of myself. And then I come out of this tunnel of light. I'm in this infinite blue void, like sky blue. Infinite mind. No beginning, no end. No limit, no bias. Infinite possibilities. Beyond description, but as most people who've had near-death experiences agree, the only thing in common is we feel infinite love. And that's exactly what I felt, infinite love. And infinite love somehow made this infinite creativity, infinite mind that manifests into infinite possibilities in time and space. It doesn't make any sense in terms of physics, but that's how it happened and is still happening. And I'm just amazed. And then all of a sudden I'm being pulled away from this infinite mind. I went, whoa, 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 this is a nice place to be. I was pulled back through this tunnel of light. I still felt pretty charged up, but I was pretty apprehensive about where I'm going. Where I was beautiful. Started coming back to Earth. The closer I got to Earth, I saw 3 pictures of planets right before I hopped back into my body. 3 series of pictures, excuse me. The first was all this stuff we're going through now. I saw 9/11, COVID-19, chaos, confusion, war, struggles, pretty nasty and intense.
What did it look like? What did 9/11 and COVID look like?
What I saw were like a bunch of flashcards, like spinning newspapers, 1,000 pictures, just, and so much that I could retain a little bit, but it's almost like, which I'm about to say, my guides explained to me later, you will see all of this in your lifetime. So I'm coming back to my body, not even knowing who I am. I saw all these pictures of the future. all these pictures of the chaos we're going through. Then I saw a whole second series of pictures. 50 years, 100 years, 150 years from now, where there's Aquarian age, where there's peace, there's harmony, there's love, or it's space, or technology, the sea, the whole. Now, whether there's a billion people or 20 billion, or I don't know, it could go a lot of different ways. And I'm not absolutely 100% sure that's the way things will work out, but I think they will. Mm. So I saw all this chaos, and then I saw the other side of it, the Aquarian age, which is really beautiful and harmonious. Still don't know who I am. But then I started seeing these pictures of a musician and a psychic, and I thought, I wonder if I know this guy. And all of a sudden I saw my body. And I see cars and people screaming, and the drivers hanging over me screaming. I went, that's my body. I've completely forgot about it. I jumped back in. I felt this red hair hanging over my face. This driver's terrified. Man, I tried to stop. I just been to heaven. This is nothing. So I tried to get to my feet. He's trying to hold me down here in shock. No, I'm not. I'm not hurt. Let me alone. And somehow I got up, and he's trying to contain me. And I think I frustrated him because he's trying to help, and it didn't need. You don't have any idea what I'm going through, buddy. So he kind of tripped over himself and fell backwards. Meanwhile, I started talking to these people. Did any of y'all see this?
Sure.
That didn't look good. 5 minutes later, I was going to walk home. Nobody's hurt. Going home. I'll deal with it later. And then I heard the cops and sirens, and several of the people there said, no, hang around and explain it to the cops. I went, yeah, I'll just explain it to the cops. I'll go home. Good luck. Cops came, police came, ambulance came. They're all looking for a body laying out in the street. And I'm sitting there talking to all these people. I said, I'm the guy you're looking for. All the people, yep, him. So they walk up to me, and how are you not hurt? How do you stand? On my feet like you. And every time I tried to explain what happened, where I went, that's pretty relevant, why I wasn't even hurt, why I didn't even feel this, why I didn't have a scratch.
Sure.
None of that made sense, and I could understand why. And they went and talked to the witnesses, and the witness said, yeah, he was talking to something, all of a sudden he was hit by the car, and then he jumped up to his feet a second later. He was not even hurt. Yeah, they were mind blown.
You know, I gotta ask you a question. As you're sitting here, it reminds me of some of the plant medicine journeys that I've been on. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like. Have you done any? It doesn't sound like you have.
I've never done ayahuasca. I've certainly done my share of psychedelics.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's really interesting how when we want to go on this path, mm-hmm. you know, of awakening, of reconnecting to ourselves, of finding ourselves. It's interesting how we can get there in so many different ways.
Absolutely. Infinite ways, infinite possibilities over infinite time.
Yeah.
No two alike. Right. In fact, no two atoms can occupy the same time and space in time and space. That's not the same when you're out of time and space. Everything can be everywhere all at once, like the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of drove me nuts, but it was a good idea. So, yeah, I was laying in the street and jumped to my feet. The cops came by, an ambulance, and I'm trying to explain it to them, and they won't let me just walk home. I'm not hurt. They have to take me to the hospital, x-ray me. So they do. Not hurt, not even a scratch. No glass in my hair, no nothing. They can't understand it. Car's totaled, the whole front end banged in my body. And of course, I'm trying to explain to these people what happened. And after a while, I was, God, nobody's going to believe this. I wouldn't either. You know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't hurt. They couldn't keep me in the emergency room. They rolled me over the corner. And about 15 minutes later, this guy came walking in. I'd seen a premonition about him. He was a psychiatrist. I knew all about him and his family, his education. It just was apparent. It's like opening a book and just reading it. It's so clear. He walked up to me, and I explained to him that he was a psychiatrist. Whoa, have I ever met you? Have you ever been a patient of mine? What's going on? Said, right now, doc, I can tap into anything. And he said, well, I've heard about this, read about it, never seen anybody. You're now? And I said, can I just go home? Nobody's hurt. And he said, no, we just can't let you go home. We're going to have to commit you to a psychiatric hospital because of what you're saying and what you're doing. And you
Wait, what? The doctor told you that?
yeah,
Get out of here.
no, papers in the book.
Just 2 weeks ago, I had somebody said that they were committed to a psychiatric hospital for schizophrenia.
Yeah.
And all along, she was just psychic as well.
Yeah.
It's wild how they, yeah.
Yeah, but I had no complaint. I'd been to heaven. I don't care what they're going to do. I got cops aiming.
So you were in peace.
I was completely at peace.
Yeah.
Even if still baffled, completely baffled, but I was not frustrated. I could easily understand why they didn't get a word of what I said. I wouldn't have believed it either.
So did you go to the mental hospital?
Well, I went to the doctor prescribed me, said, we're going to have to commit you, but we have to get the paperwork. Your family has to sign an order of protective custody to do it legally, and that court won't be open for a day or two. I forgot, and my brother had to get the paperwork and sign it. And so they, actually my brother and a police detective, I was in jail. They put me in jail because they had to get 2 days to get the paperwork and they couldn't let me go home and they can't keep me at the emergency room. So they put me in jail, which was fine. Because when they put me in jail cell, there's about 8 or 10 different cells with different folks and I can't see them, but I can hear them. Hey, who's the newbie? Hey, my name's Gary, guys. And what'd you do? I said, well, I just jumped across space and time to infinite mind and back, and blah, 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 blah. Blew their mind. Wow, you're a weirdo. And they started asking me, I started asking, what are you in here for? And they said, well, blah, 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 blah. So I was very intuitive. I said, your lawyer, his name's James, right? He'll do this, he'll do this. And somebody else, how'd you know that? Some other guy, what about my case? So I started talking to you because I could pick it all up.
Yeah.
Just like seeing that this is green. No child. A few minutes later, a jailer walked up and put his face right in front of mine on the outside and said, you are not a lawyer. You cannot give these people legal advice. If you keep talking to them, we will put you in solitary confinement. I'll be quiet because really I didn't want to do this. I just couldn't, they're asking me. It's just occurring to me. So yeah, can't talk anymore, guys. Got to be quiet. Good.
In order to not miss these episodes or the weekly clips that we provide that will help you in the 3 energies of human mastery, how to change your financial life, how to change your relationship life, and how to heal yourself physically, emotionally, and spiritually, make sure to subscribe right now to the channel. Trust me, it'll be the greatest decision and action you take today because the value we are committed to bringing you is going to be life-changing. Go ahead and subscribe right now. Gary, I want to ask, how did this come about? I'm showing you guys this book right now. I've met a lot of different psychics. I know most of them use cards, but you use stones.
Lithomancy. Litho means stone, like lithograph. Mancy means divination by. So lithomancy means divination by stone. I met a lady in 1980 who did this. I had never seen it, and I was really intrigued. Wow, just 16 stones and a little piece of leather to make a circle, and you drop them, and she reads them like a clock from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, 12 to 3 to 6 to 9. I was fascinated. I wanted to learn this. She said, I'm going to have a class next Tuesday. I showed up, pouring rain. She showed me in about 10 minutes because we both wanted to get back home. The storm was getting real strong, so I got about a 10-minute lesson, went home. Next day, got 16 stones and put the labels on them. The 16 stones 10 of them are based on planets, astrology, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. And the other 6 stones are personal, love, life, luck, commitment, timing, and place. And you drop into the circle, and I read them like a clock. So yeah, she showed me. Next day I started practicing. And within a couple of weeks, I started realizing, wow, I can really pick some stuff up for this. Now, I do have an intense interest in it. I've always had a little more than that average natural intuition. I've worked on it. I got 6 brothers. They don't give a damn about it. They're all baseball players and businessmen, and Gary's the psychic weirdo. but that fits me. It's fine and dandy. And I really encourage people to, especially now in these times, to learn your spiritual ability. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the whole
absolutely.
planet's trying to tell us to do.
Absolutely.
Turn on
100%.
your power inside.
Yeah.
Period.
Gary, and I want to ask you, I want to show you guys, I'm holding up a picture right now. This is what it looks like. So
Mhm.
you create a circle,
Mhm.
and then you
Yeah, I use
just
a little piece of leather. I tied it. Actually, the picture on the left is the actual leather, but the one on the right is a computer generated. I actually took a picture of a piece of leather, and to write the book, I made the stones a little better to make them visually appealing. But
so you mean to tell me, so like, it's interesting because number one, never in my life did I think I'd be talking about dropping stones and psychic stuff.
mhm,
I was that business guy,
mhm.
right? But now I talk about it because I know it's not only real, it's like some of these things are the keys to like really understanding yourself,
Oh yeah,
and what's going on
oh yeah,
and what's happening in your life and why it's happening in your life, so that instead of being afraid, you could have some clarity and some understanding. Is
true.
is that why you use this?
I use that because I liked it. It's simple. I didn't have to read 1,000 books. I got a 15-minute lesson 45 years ago and just started practicing it. I kind of, from my experience in 1977, I met this lady in 1980. So in 1977, I saw how much any moment in time can be a portal to infinite mind. Any situation can be a portal. People don't think that way. I never did before that, but after that, I do. So yeah, you can use stones, cards. I used to, when I lived in Europe, I lived in Europe from 93 to 2000
Mm-hmm.
as a musician. A lot of musicians and other people knew I gave readings. Sometimes they'd ask me. Sometimes I had my stones with me and I'd give them a reading. But when I didn't have my stones with me, I would bring them up to my little apartment above the club where I was staying. And I'd say, okay, don't have my stones. So here's a table. Y'all just arrange a bunch of stuff on the table, earrings, an ashtray, a cigarette butt. I'm going to go in and make some tea, meditate, come back in 2 minutes. I'm going to look at the stuff that y'all arranged on the table and I'll read that. And I could. A butter knife, a guitar string, a trinket, an earring, 3 cards turned over, just whatever was. And I could actually pick out things that are going to happen to them in their lives real just by looking at that stuff.
A week ago or so, we had somebody here who was an astrologist,
Mm-hmm.
and who kind of told me what was going to happen, in my life based off of my astrology chart. And here you are, you're mentioning the same thing with stones that are correlated to planets.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because it is like the message I'm getting right now is that it is all interconnected.
Absolutely.
We are all interconnected. And whether it's doing it like this or doing it with cards or doing it, it's what we are awakening to is the reality of who and what we really are.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
all is one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All is one. It's all one infinite mind seeing itself. Infinite mind, God, whatever, just thought, well, I think I'll just be everything. Why not? And it actually didn't happen at a point in time. We just have that reference because we are at a point in time. But,
That's right.
Human souls could have existed on billions of other galaxies for billions of years before this one even came into existence. Like I said, we don't even remember what we did last Thursday. How would you know how many lifetimes you've been through in different worlds? And you don't need to know.
You know what? It's interesting. I've never been called to know, but there are people who can do Akashic record readings and things like that. I'm sitting here looking at this.
I love that painting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's because I spent so many years in religion, at first as a Catholic and then as a Christian. And I was constantly told this story that I'm a sinner and that Jesus died for me. And, what we now know is obviously not true, but I wanted this painting created because I wanted, as I went through this journey and I reconnected and I realized that chakras are a real thing and they could be blocked and you could open them and they could be healed. And like I really just started to see like my journey and my awakening journey. And I could literally feel like it was the journey that he went on.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is me and I am him and he is you and you are, and we're all one. And I'm sitting here looking at this painting right now and I'm noticing how the different colors of the different chakras are looking very similar to the different colors of your different stones.
Hmm.
And
True.
how each of these chakras could represent a different planet.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that wild?
Well, everything can be a connection to everything. Every portal, like I said, people don't think that way, and I never did either. But now I realize that, and even yesterday I was watching a thing on physics. I always study quantum physics. I think it's interesting. The math is over my head. I was an electrical engineer, and one of the main things about quantum physics is quantum entanglement. Something happens here on the completely other side of the universe. Simultaneously, this is a plus, that's a plus. Instant, faster than the knowledge could travel in time and space, according to Einstein and physics.
Yeah.
So this is a real phenomenon. But originally at the Big Bang, it was all condensed together. And so quantum entanglement started at the very source of the Big Bang. They're still connected, just stretched out.
Mm.
I started realizing this. And I don't know if scientists look at it that way, but I do. And I know that's how it works.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I think of science and scientists, how do I say this gently? I don't know what I want to say, but when you have experienced some of these things, it's like I don't think a scientist could really understand or think this way, because they're trying to figure out something that is like unfigure-outable. Do you know what I mean?
To some degree, yeah.
It's like so big. It's so big.
Yeah,
so
infinite
vast.
mind or something. The best you can do is just kind of grok it, accept it,
Yeah.
Analyze it. You'll spend your entire life and you'll still be stuck at base one.
Yeah.
And infinite mind, God, whatever you want to call it, there's two possibilities. Either it existed, which it does, and everything exists or can, or is a possibility, or it wouldn't have existed and nothing would exist.
Yeah.
There's no in between. It can't be half a universe, half infinite power. It's either all or nothing. And guess which one happened?
That's right.
So
yeah. But it's the same thing with truth. Like truth either is or is not.
Right.
There's no believing in truth.
That's right. And we can touch on it, see it, experience it. But as human beings, we go through ups and downs and interpretations and cycles. So my truth one day may be a little different tomorrow, and then may revert back. It's a growing, evolving, it's a flux.
That is absolutely
true. And it's infinite.
It is, yes.
It's infinite. So but it's like consciousness is infinite, but any addition you do, the more water you put in your pool, the more water you have, and any water you put in your pool is better than water that evaporates. Right? So any contribution you make, any gain is worth its weight in gold.
I love that.
There's an infinite amount to learn. We only have so much time in any particular lifetime. But we will eventually learn it all and see it all, because there's no other place to go or be. And we can make better progress, just like you can at chess or running, by learning how to play chess and learn how to run. Or you can be a crappy chess player and you can trip all the time because you didn't take the time to learn how to do it correctly. And grow involved. Choice techniques.
I love that.
Life is all kinds of mysticism, love, sex, bills, kids, trials, tribulations. But in every one of those things we deal with, we make a choice or a technique to solve it, deal with it, move it on. And we have no idea how much power we have. I always encourage people to really ask your guides, talk to them, believe them. They ain't going to call you on the phone, but if you want a new car, you ask your guides. Maybe your neighbor calls you on the phone, or a complete fluke, and says, well, I just thought I'd call you. My hubby wants to sell his car real cheap, Is that a coincidence? No. It's cause and effect. Everything happens by cause and effect, Think big, be creative, and we don't get everything we work for or ask for. Not all of it works out. But the more you work at things, the more you put your heart into it, your mind, the more you ask your guides, the more you put good intentions, best case scenario for all, the more you're going to get. And the universe, especially at this challenging time in history, wants us to know that.
Mm-hmm.
That this process still works. Think big, have high values, and you can create miracles, or don't and be part of the problem. Choice. There ain't no neutral. There ain't no neutral.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. How do people hear more about you and pick up this book? Because this might be interesting for
Lithomancy, The Psychic Art of Reading Stones, is
A Second
one of my
in
books, and
Eternity.
A Second in Eternity, about my near-death experience. And like I said, that has the police records in back and so forth. You can get them on Amazon and Kindle. And you can find out about me by going to GaryWimmer.com, GaryWimmer.com. That's my home page. I've been an actor and a writer and a musician and a psychic. So I don't do much of the rest except my psychic work anymore. Don't play anymore. Don't perform. Don't do acting. As you saw, I'm a little bit clumsy on the walking end. So Al Pacino, Bruce Springsteen, your careers are safe. But that's how you can get a hold of me. You can also go to lithomancy.com, LITHOMANCY.com, or you can email me, GW@GaryWimmer.com, GW@GaryWimmer.com. When I get busy sometimes, I have to put people on get back with me in 2 weeks or so forth.
Sure.
But and if I'm available, I'll book people. And sometimes I get a little bit booked up, though, so maybe a couple of weeks before I can get back with you. But I will respond, and I will let you know. And thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for being
here. And thank you
Gary.
for spreading the light about your experience, too. Decision, practice, here's where I'm going. We don't get everything we work on, but the more we do it, the more we make good progress. And that's a pretty damn good deal, I think.
I think it is, too. Thank you, Gary.
You too, my man.
Yeah, thank you for being
very
here.
Much.
Yeah, appreciate you as well. And thank you for being here on this week's episode of The Higher Self. We'll see you next week.